What if I told you that right now, beneath the surface of the ocean, there are creatures so strange, so perfectly designed, so alien in their behavior, that scientists still don't fully understand them? Not deep-sea monsters, not giant squids hiding in the darkness. I'm talking about two fish you've probably never heard of, one that can change its entire appearance in seconds, and another that is painted in colors so vivid, so impossibly bright, that it almost looks like it was designed by an artist having a fever dream. One of them has a superpower that evolution gave to almost no other vertebrate on Earth. The other wears a chemical suit of armor that makes it untouchable to almost every predator in the ocean. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you're going to look at the ocean completely differently, and you're going to understand exactly why we cannot afford to lose it. Let's start with something basic. The pipefish looks like someone grabbed a seahorse and stretched it out like taffy. And that's not a coincidence, because pipefish are closely related to seahorses. They belong to the same family, Syngnathidae. The name literally means fused jaw in Greek, because these animals cannot chew. Their mouths are essentially just tiny vacuum tubes. They suck in food like a straw. A pipefish can snap its head forward and inhale a tiny shrimp in less than 1 millisecond. That is faster than the blink of your eye by a factor of 300. Now there are over 200 species of pipefish scattered across oceans worldwide, from warm tropical reefs to cold temperate seagrass meadows. Some are barely the length of your finger. Others, like the greater pipefish, can reach nearly 50 centimeters, about the length of your forearm. Here's where pipefish get genuinely mind-bending. They are ambush predators, but they don't hide in caves or under rocks. They hide in plain sight. A pipefish will position its entire body vertically, completely still, among blades of seagrass. It sways with the current, mimicking the grass perfectly. Its color, its texture, the rhythm of its movement, all of it is engineered for one purpose: to disappear. This is called crypsis, the biological art of being invisible without actually being invisible. Some species take it further. The worm pipefish looks so much like a marine worm that predators swim right past it. Other species develop skin filaments that make them look like algae. The ocean didn't give them speed or venom or size. It gave them the ability to simply not exist as far as predators are concerned. Now, are you ready for the fact that breaks everyone's brain? In pipefish, just like in their cousins, the seahorses, the males get pregnant. The female deposits her eggs directly into a specialized brood pouch on the male's belly. He then fertilizes them internally, provides them with oxygen and nutrients through a placenta-like tissue, and carries them for weeks until they hatch. But here's where it gets even more fascinating and a little dark. Male pipefish are selective. If the female who gave him the eggs is large and attractive, he invests heavily. Good nutrition, high survival rates for the embryos. But if she's small or less dominant, he can actually reabsorb resources from those embryos while keeping himself in better condition for a more desirable mate. That's right. The male pipefish is the one making the choosy reproductive decisions, a complete reversal of what we see in most of the animal kingdom, including humans. This phenomenon, studied extensively by biologist Koch van Oosterhout and others, has redefined how evolutionary biologists think about sexual selection. Pipefish are deeply tied to two specific habitats: seagrass beds and coral reefs. These are two of the most threatened ecosystems on the planet. Seagrass meadows, which cover less than 0.1% of the ocean floor, produce 10% of the ocean's oxygen. They are nurseries for juvenile fish, carbon sinks, and water filters, and they are disappearing at a rate of 7% per year due to coastal development, pollution, and warming waters. When seagrass dies, pipefish lose their camouflage habitat and their hunting ground. Without that perfect vertical cover, they can't hide, they can't feed, they vanish. I need you to look at this animal. The mandarin fish, Syncharopus splendidus, is widely considered the most visually stunning fish in the ocean, and when you see one in real life, you'll understand why. Its body is covered in swirling patterns of electric blue, lime green, vivid orange, and deep teal. It looks like a painting by someone who had access to every color that exists and refused to leave any of them out. But here's what's wild. Those colors are not created by pigment. Almost every colorful animal in nature uses pigments, chemicals that absorb certain wavelengths of light. The mandarin fish does something different. Its blue color comes from structural coloration, microscopic physical structures in the skin that scatter light to produce color, the same way a soap bubble produces a rainbow. The mandarin fish is one of only 2 vertebrates on Earth known to produce blue color this way. The other is the closely related psychedelic mandarin fish. Now, you're probably wondering, with colors that bright, doesn't everything in the ocean just want to eat it? Yes, and the mandarin fish has a spectacular answer to that problem. Instead of scales, which most fish have, the mandarin fish is covered in a thick, foul-smelling, toxic mucus. This slime is secreted directly through its skin. It contains compounds so bitter and noxious that predators immediately spit the fish out the moment they bite it. In years of aquarium observation, virtually no predator will eat a mandarin fish twice. The mucus also acts as a full-body antiseptic. Because the mandarin fish has no scales, meaning its skin is constantly exposed, this coating protects it from bacterial infections, parasites, and wounds. It is essentially wearing a chemical suit of armor 24 hours a day. That's why, unlike most small reef fish, the mandarin fish doesn't hide nervously or dart away from movement. It moves slowly, confidently, almost arrogantly. It doesn't need to be fast. Nothing wants to eat it badly enough. Every evening, as the sun dips below the water's surface, something magical happens on the reef. Male mandarin fish begin patrolling their territory. Females start emerging from the coral. And when 2 compatible fish find each other, they perform one of the most extraordinary mating rituals in the animal kingdom. The male and female rise together, belly to belly, spiraling straight up through the water column. As they ascend, they simultaneously release eggs and sperm into the open water in a cloud that drifts on the current. The whole event lasts about 5 seconds. 5 seconds to produce the next generation of perhaps the most beautiful fish alive. Marine photographers wait days, weeks to capture this 5-second moment. It happens at dusk, it's fast, and it's one of the rarest sights in underwater photography. Here's the conversation we have to have. The mandarin fish lives almost exclusively in shallow tropical coral reef systems, primarily across the Pacific, the Philippines, Indonesia, Australia's Great Barrier Reef. It feeds on tiny crustaceans and worms that live within the coral structure. Without a healthy reef, it has no food, no shelter, and no place to perform that extraordinary mating dance. Global coral reefs have lost 50% of their coverage since the 1950s. Ocean warming causes coral bleaching, a stress response where coral expels the algae living in its tissues and turns white. Without that algae, it starves. Without healthy coral, the reef ecosystem collapses. And without the reef, the mandarin fish, like hundreds of other species, simply disappears. The ocean is resilient, but it needs time, and it needs us to stop making it worse. We started this video with two fish, a pipefish, invisible in the seagrass, carrying its young in its belly, flipping every assumption you had about gender roles in nature. A mandarin fish, armored in toxic slime, glowing in colors that physics barely explains, rising 5 seconds into the water column every evening to continue its species. These creatures didn't evolve over millions of years just to disappear because we weren't paying attention. Every species we lose is a chapter of Earth's story we will never be able to read again. Every seagrass meadow that dies, every coral reef that bleaches and doesn't recover, that's not just an environmental statistic. That's a mandarin fish that has nowhere to go. That's a pipefish with no place to hide. If this video made you see the ocean differently, drop a comment below. Tell us which fish surprised you more. And subscribe, because every week we're going to bring you more of the species, the science, and the stories that remind us why this all matters. The ocean is speaking. We just have to listen.